Alright, so before this video, I privately polled both Argate and Crow to see what they thought was gonna come out of this scene. Shiori's big moment, when we finally get to hear everything straight from the horse's mouth. And I am pleased to say that at least one of you nailed it. Fucking just first try.
I'm horrified to see which one of us did it.
Oh boy. I don't know that this is Scarlet, guys. Looks very orange to me. Like, I feel like we've just begun instrumentality.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm getting some, both End of Evangelion and End of Project Wingman flashbacks here. And a little bit of the Final Fantasy X / What Dreams May Come of that gigantic endless waterfall. Also, hello Shiori, you've had a hell of a fashion upgrade.
You know, that's just one of the perks you get for being the final boss.
Thanks for remembering I even exist, jackass. I appreciate that once again Shio speaks for absolutely everyone here.
I like that the increased resolution of being on the PS4 means that, like, those little web things that are, like, presumably supposed to just kind of fade into the background as they get, like, near the ground, are instead, like, you can see them. You can see where they end. So, like, every time she, like, slightly leans forward, you just see the whole thing just pop up a tiny bit.
And it looks like a really cheap effect when blown up to HD. Like, I don't want to rag on this for being, since, you know, it was originally a Vita game, but man, that did not translate well. Called it!
Now, I actually quite like this twist, because a lesser game would pull this, and then that would be the end of it. Just, oh, actually, Shiori died 10 years ago. But Tokyo Xanadu is going to take this one step further.
こうちゃんが無事で最後まで一緒にいてくれたから。でも死の直前でこうちゃんの叫び声を聞いて私は怖くなってしまった。あの時手を離さなければ。そんな風に自分を追い詰めてこうちゃんが壊れてしまうって分かっちゃったから。だから最後に願ったの。全部嘘でありますようにって。それを聞き届けたのは神様でも悪魔でもなかった。大勢の力のある人間たちが死に物狂いで何とか討伐してちょうど滅びかかっていた存在、因果を歪める力を持った夕闇の使徒と呼ばれる怪異だった。その力ある怪異は私の最後の願いを聞き届けた。そしてその思いと融合して同化することで新たな存在となった。しおりが死んだ事実をなかったことにする。ただそのためだけに森宮の地における因果を操作し歪め続けるうつろな存在に。
I mean, that's a tiny bit on the nose to just literally sum up Shiori's entire character arc as just an empty existence.
Perhaps. Perhaps it is a little... maybe too direct. But yeah, so that's where we actually stand. It's not just that Shiori is dead, and has been for 10 years, but rather, she and the Twilight Apostle have fused in a way that for Morimiya, and Morimiya specifically, there is a new person who is not quite Shiori and not quite the Twilight Apostle, but who is taking on the role of Shiori, who has effectively replaced her. And the core of the rest of the world, basically, and then essentially what's going on with the whole eclipse thing is that the rest of the world is starting to take notice that a girl who was supposed to be dead 10 years ago isn't. And that's not going so well.
倉敷しおりが死ななかったっていうちっぽけだけど大きすぎる嘘。でもそれが事実になるのはあくまで森宮の地においてだけ。森宮以外では
I'm a little disappointed that, like, there weren't more hints of this. Like, in the game, like, at least more concrete hints of it.
そしてこの10年で
I do think it's a missed opportunity that they didn't have, like, because I think some of the Spica girls are from outside the city. I'm a little surprised that they didn't have one of them mention, like, kind of get suspicious about Shiori or anything like that, especially since not like they didn't see her when they were at the hot springs.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, there was, without a doubt, more opportunity to seed this reveal. But I mean, like, I still like it for what it is.
This is probably also me just, like, sort of coloring it with my personal reaction to it, but, like, I suppose it gives a tiny bit more context to basically, like, literally, like, the rest of the cast effectively just forgetting Shiori even exists when she's no longer on screen for, like, any length of time. I don't know, that would, like, be, like, a nice little blip of, like, again, like, I know they went to the field trip to, like, the hot springs, but, like, say, like, they went basically just outside of, like, Morimiya's eclipse bubble, and, like, Ko gets a call from, like, Ryota, and he's like, oh, I'm hanging out with Jun and Shiori, and Ko is just, like, suddenly like, I'm sorry, who?
I feel like that would be a little too on the nose.
Anyway, Shiori's big master plan is that she has decided that she is bored of living in Morimiya, so her solution is to simply plunge the entire world into this sort of eclipse reality, at which point, the fact that she is dead will no longer be a lie.
I mean, she's kinda got a point there. Like, the eclipse is at least slightly more exciting than, like, all the normal day-to-day bullshit we've been dealing with in between dungeons.
Shiori も柊も結局ガキの頃の俺が勝手な罪悪感で壊れかかったのがそもそもの原因なんじゃねえか。その当事者を放ったまま話を進めんじゃねえよ、アホタレ。
こうくん、こうちゃんはもうきっかけがどうとかじゃないんだよ。
Again, I do appreciate that it's, like, weirdly kind of on the nose that Ko's like, yeah, I'm the most important person to this entire scenario, and I really don't have any goddamn thing to do with it.
だからこうちゃんは黙って。
俺は今まで目を背けてきた。お前を失った喪失感をごまかしてバイトなんかに逃げ込んで。だがそれが嘘だったとは思わねえ。割と好きだしな。バイトでいろいろな経験をするのも仕事先の人たちと知り合うのも。お前が自分のことを嘘だというのは勝手だ。だが俺にとって、おじさんやおばさんにとって、お前の友達やとわねえや亮太や純にとって、目の前にいたしおりは嘘じゃないし、お前自身に
You know, in a way, it's funny how much of this everything could have been avoided if, like, she had manifested as someone, like, and, like, called herself by literally any other name.
Yeah, like, the way that Ko was basically going with that speech at the start, I honestly thought, like, the punchline was basically going to be, like, you know, I've moved on from you. Like, you know, your entire existence, like, you don't need to do this anymore. Like, I've gotten over you. And then he whipped it around to back, like, no, you've been there the whole time, though. And I'm going, like, no, you fucking idiot. God fucking damn it.
Well, I mean, he's not wrong in that sense either, though. Like, it is true that Shiori's existence is technically a lie, but, like, that does not mean that the last 10 years of shit that happened inside the Morimiya bubble didn't. Like, all of the things that they did together and all the times they were, you know, hanging out with their friends and whatnot, like, that's still 10 years worth of real experiences.
But again, there's also been, like, the subtle undercurrent of the game just trying to push Ko and Shiori as far apart as, like, it physically can at times. To the point where I'm basically saying, like, it has that unspoken thesis of, yeah, he has grown up and he has moved beyond her and he's, like, gotten over her in a way. And so, like, this would be the perfect time to again, just make that statement manifest of just realizing that, like, oh yeah, she's been actually dead for 10 years, and yeah, it turns out Koa's just, you know, fucking gotten over it in that time, and he doesn't need her anymore hanging around.
Which would turn this into less of a selfish thing and more of a jealous, no, I still want to exist tantrum.
Yeah, I feel like that thesis feels kind of at odds with, like, a lot of what the game has presented so far. I can't think of any real examples off the top of my head, but something about it just kind of feels off to me.
Especially because, like, literally half the cast character arcs have been just, you know, growing up and just accepting, like, you know, things as the way they are, or the fact that things have changed and they need to, like, just, you know, move on and get over it. Like, that would have been a nice way to effectively just tie a whole bunch of narrative threads together, but no, Tokyo Xanadu just went, fuck, I don't know.
So there is, very little to say about the final boss, chiefly because this is not the final boss. Don't kid yourself, you know it has another form. Like, as long as you remain on the edge of the arena, there is literally nothing that this thing can do to you.
And that's why we're leading with Mr. Goro?
Well, yes and no. There's a gimmick to this, you'll see.
Because, yeah, it is curious that, well, I suppose you didn't pick this party, right, Artix?
No, this party is forced. It is the, well, it's not forced. What it does is it runs through, it starts with the last 3 characters of your party.
Yeah, so basically, it kind of, like, yeah, I remember from the last video, like, it said it was gonna do, like, the Final Fantasy VI Kefka fight thing, where, like, everyone who dies will just be replaced by the next person in that line. But, anyways, I was gonna note that, like, if this was intentional, like, it was interesting that, yeah, you picked basically, aside from Yuki, the 3 strongest ranged fighters for this fight.
I mean, bold of you to think that I remembered anything about this fight before I went into it.
But anyway, Rion's toast.
Yeah, so this boss just does the... Well, it's a thing. The thing that my mind immediately went to when I was playing is like, wow, this is just the Persona 4 final boss.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
But yeah, it's that. That's what this boss does. Every time you knock off a fixed amount of its health, it will cast that little cage thing, and it will kill off one of your party members, and you get to pick which one it is. That is important, because your last 3 characters standing are the ones that are forced to fight the real final boss. So choose wisely.
That's an interesting way to do your party selection. I don't know if I like that, but it's interesting.
I mean, it is at the very least a nice little way to ensure that literally everyone gets a role in this final fight. Final-ish fight, I mean.
I've played a lot of Ys games, and let me tell you, I'm not a fan of this. Actually, we're going to make you use your whole party gimmick. No, sir. Because they do this a lot there.
So this is just a Falcom special then? Thought you were giving up Shio there for a second.
Yeah, that last second swap out of Mr. Goro, Jesus.
I probably wouldn't have done that if not for the fact that Mr. Goro is at half health and Shio is still full. Otherwise, I probably would have just tossed Shio and gone with Mr. Goro.
するぜ。
ごめんねバイバイ。
So does Shiori's weakness rotation match basically whoever you've got in your party at the time, or is it just kind of random, or based on whatever whatever part you destroy at the time?
It's based on what moves she uses. Like, after certain ones, it'll change... Like, she'll change her weakness to match whatever attack she's using.
Yeah, I noticed in the first set of party members, it was weak to an element that Artix did not have available at the time, so it couldn't have been based on who's in the party.
Well, here we go. Here's our final-ish boss party.
She'll say, if you're really ballsy, you can lock onto the head and attack that for bonus damage, but it's very hard to do. It's a lot easier to just wail on the arms.
Yeah, because, like, I do not trust this game's aerial/ranged mechanics for shit. So yeah, that's probably the safer strategy.
Yeah, like, if this were, like, a Kingdom Hearts game, that might be a viable strategy.
Cannot stress enough how extremely fucking bullshit it is that Asuka's EX attack locks an enemy in place anytime you want. It's so fucking busted.
And for that, we thank it. Yeah, you just know that Yuki would try and hack whatever the fuck this place is if he could.
Yuki, I feel like you'd be right at home at Devil Survivor 2.
Oh, absolutely. He would be having the time of his life.
Not the right time, Rion.
I can't believe that Rion is literally having the "but if cute, how evil" dilemma, like, right now.
Either that or she's having the "oh no, she's hot" dilemma and just chose to phrase it in a very ambiguous way.
Anyway, yeah, so Princess of Doom is probably the best fight in the game. It is, not entirely coincidentally, one of the only times the game actually gives you, like, a reasonable human-shaped enemy to fight. So, you know, make of that what you will.
It's almost like the Platinum Rival bosses.
Also, I'll have to go back and, like, watch, like... I think it was the first episode that we did, or maybe the second or the third one, but, I'm pretty sure that, this quote-unquote final boss piece is actually, also the background track of the very first dungeon that we ever ran. I might be wrong, though.
That would be an interesting callback. Anyway, thank you, game, for choosing this exact moment to fucking do that attack.
At the very least, like, Asuka was invincible during that whole thing, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, your partner character is always invincible when you do that.
Although that would be kind of hilarious if, yeah, you trigger that attack at that moment as Shiori just goes into her, basically, crazy super attack, and just, all it does is expose Asuka to damage as well, too.
No, in this game, I would not have been surprised if, partner damage like that was, on the table at one point.
I do like that in that, with those circle explosions, if you're really feeling ballsy, the second wave of them actually does not cover directly next to her.
Yeah, like, I've noticed that there is a save space directly in front of Shiori.
So yeah, if you, you know, if you're feeling up to it, you can absolutely, do a flash dodge into that and right into her face.
And of course, she's completely immobile during that whole thing, so, like, that would be a good time to just basically, like, unload Shio right onto her.
It would, yeah. Or I guess Sora with this party.
So, like, every so often, like, you can see that, you can see what, like, you know, something that, like, the Ease team would have put together. Like, the action roots are there. They're just, man, they're buried deep.
Like, yeah, like, you literally just pulled it off a second ago there, and, although it dissuades you, I guess, from doing that because, like, Shiori just immediately starts just physically beating the shit out of you the second the attack is over. And then they both died.
The end.
Roll credits.